Air entrapment is a common problem in plastic molding where the air in the mold is not allowed to escape through pre-established vent locations. This air entrapment can prevent the part from filling completely, resulting in a visual surface defect, but in the worst case scenario, the compression of the air will cause the temperature to significantly increase, resulting in a burn mark. I'm Alex Baker, and let's discover how to evaluate air entrapment using Moldex3D in today's advanced tips and tricks. There's a couple of ways that we can visualize air entrapment in Moldex3D. The first way is through the filling results, and just using the melt front time, we can sometimes visualize how the air could be trapped in the mold. If I go to my result tab, I can just back up my animation a little bit, and we can see sections of the part where the air pockets are separated from one another as the melt front progresses. Another common way to visualize this is to go up into your animation options, and you can use a single color animation to remove a lot of the noise in the color display that would usually be overlaid onto the melt front time. And we can see where those air entrapments might occur by using the orange and blue default colors. Now the melt front time shows us the progression of the melt front. However, we do have a result that is the opposite of this, and that result item is called the air zone volume. Air zone volume shows us the progression of the air front as opposed to the progression of the melt front that we just showed. So when I go into the air zone volume result, at the end of fill, we can actually see that there's no air left in the part, and so therefore there's nothing showing. However, once I move my animation percentage back, I can start to see where that air is progressing through the geometry. And more importantly, where it is being trapped in the geometry. So for example, I can see these pockets of air as they become separated from the main air pocket that is created as the melt front progresses. If I move my animation percentage a little bit further, we can really start to see where these air pockets are cut off from the main air zone. Now, in order to focus on where these air entrapments actually are, we do have a result item that shows us where the melt front velocity approaches zero, and that is the air trap result. The air trap result will show us a bunch of blue bubbles, but honestly, in isolation, these blue bubbles don't really tell us a lot and can sometimes even be misleading. For example, in this case, we have a couple of air traps in the middle of the part where an air entrapment should not be occurring. If I look at my melt front time, as a tip, you can actually go up to the display tab and overlay the air traps onto the melt front time. And so if I use my animation percentage going backwards, we can see that this is the point where the melt front initially contacted this surface, but we should know that there's not an air entrapment that's going to occur there. Although an air trap bubble shows up, that might just be because of how the melt front interacted with the different elements on this surface. The same thing goes for the weld line over here. If I look at the melt front progression there, looks like the way that the elements filled out, there could be a indication of an air entrapment, but in reality, this would not be an actual air entrapment. So therefore, these air trap bubbles should not be used in isolation. Instead, I prefer to use the air zone volume result and overlay the air traps onto the air zone volume result to figure out and visualize where this air entrapment is actually going to be in our part geometry. Now, when we run a simulation by default, we assume that all of the air can escape the mold idealistically. We call this a perfect venting condition. This means that there's no compressibility of the air, and so the air can just move out of the mold whenever it needs to. However, that's not going to be the case in reality, and we do have a boundary condition that allows us to consider where the air can escape out of the mold. And so if the air would be trapped in a location where it is not vented, then it will prevent the melt front from moving forward, causing a short shot in the simulation. This boundary condition can be found under the Boundary Conditions tab. Over on the right side, we would find venting. The venting condition will have us select a target for our vent, and then it will allow us to select the dimensions of our vent. The target that we're going to be selecting will be one-dimensional in nature, and we'll be giving this a three-dimensional representation using the W and H parameters down here at the bottom. There's three types of objects that we could select as our target. The first one is a feature line on the part geometry. If we select a feature line, the selection that we make will automatically propagate to all of the mesh elements along that feature, and we can use a control box select to remove that feature if we want. The second type of target is the mesh lines themselves. So if I turn on the mesh, I can actually go in and select these mesh lines. I can hold the shift button to multiple select, and then I can use the control box select or control single select to remove that selection where necessary. The third type of target that we can select is an established construction line. This could either be imported with the part geometry, or you can draw it in Moldex3D using the line tool under the tool tab. So if I just draw a line across the part surface under the venting function, I can actually select this line as a target. Now, when we're selecting the vent object, it's incredibly important to be selecting all of the venting in your part. Even if you're only interested in the air entrapment in one part of your geometry, the inclusion of the venting boundary condition enables the compressibility of air. And so wherever there is not a vent in your part, the air will be trapped, causing a short shot, maybe unnecessarily, if you don't apply a complete venting array. So it's very important to not only consider one section of your part, but all of the venting in your mold. Now, once we've selected all of our vents, then we can go in and establish the W and H parameters. The W is what we call the land of the vent, which is the distance from the vent out to the main vent channel, not necessarily out to the edge of the mold, but out to the main vent channel where the air is actively vented. And H is the thickness of the vent. If you don't know what values to use, you can just use the defaults here. And right below the W and H parameters is the venting profile. The venting profile will allow us to determine whether this is a counter pressure or a vacuum. The default air pressure is ambient pressure, which is 0.1 MPa. If you decrease this value, that would indicate a vacuum. If you increase this value, then it would indicate the air being forced through the vent to apply a counter pressure to the melt front. This counter pressure or vacuum condition can be profiled as a time-based entity. When you run a simulation including venting, you'll get two additional results. Not only will you get air zone volume, but you'll also get air zone pressure and air zone temperature. And if you did get a short shot in the analysis, you'll be able to see what the pressure and temperature of that air pocket was, in addition to its location. Thank you for watching this Moldex3D Advanced Tips and Tricks. If there's another topic that you'd like to see covered in the future, you can leave a comment below. You can leave a like on your way out. And if you like this type of content, you can subscribe to the Moldex3D North America YouTube channel at no cost to get notified when videos like this get uploaded in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.